So we have Richard from the Ghana Medical Association, Richard Selormey. Richard, thank you for your time. You're welcome. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
And you're welcome to Newsbeat. Right. Now, if you can take us through what is required of a doctor, a nurse, or medical assistant in the administration of medication onto patients.
Well, first, let me say a good afternoon to your listeners, and also share my commiserations and condolences to the family of Koda. We pray that God grants his soul the repose and consoles his family. I think first to comment on that video, unfortunate as it is that has happened, once this video is in the domain, it's important that we put it in the right perspective before we jump to certain conclusions on this. This is just one side of the issue that has been put in the media domain, and I have taken my time to listen to the video. And if you listen to the video, clearly, one, he has admitted to be somebody who has glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency, which is a condition which affects how the red blood cells function. And so what that means is that for somebody like that, if they suffer some severe infections or take certain medications or even certain things that are like household items like camphor, those white balls, they may trigger them having what we call a hemolytic episode. The blood cells break down much faster than they should, and that can lead to all sorts of consequences. However, what is difficult is that in the history that he was narrating, there's so much detail that is left out that it is difficult to say this or that. And it's only one side. I would plead that we listen to both sides and find out what exactly happened, because he's talked about him knowing that he takes it. There's no clear information as to whether he informed the doctors during the process for which he was being seen at that hospital, which he also did not name. He also mentioned a drug, but we are not sure what drug is it and what drug is it that he claims was containing sulfur or not. And then also, and if you listen to the interview, he said he took it for 6 to 8 months, and towards the end, he said he took this for almost 1 whole year, the said drug. And the thing with the hemolytic episode, when you are taking such drugs, is that if you take those drugs in those quantities, and depending on what level of deficiency you may have, it might trigger the episode, and you will see signs and symptoms of hemolysis, which may include your urine turning very black, dark like Coca-Cola, and then various other things. You may appear jaundice and other things, which for what he was recounting, that he's been going to the hospital for reviews, and then also he himself, having been quite aware of his condition, would have picked up much earlier. But I think it's important that we need to find out more detail. What drug was he taking? Was that information available that he was GCPD deficient? He took it for 1 year. What were the signs and symptoms before we make such conclusions?
So without making any conclusions, do we have some medications that contain sulfur as you, doctors, administer onto patients?
It's not about administration or not. This is not a drug that was being administered to him. He was given medications prescribed to him, which he was taking.
So
now, when
do you prescribe
drugs
medicine?
That contain,
I'm sorry, doctor, hold on. Do you
can
prescribe?
Can you be patient and let me respond to your question?
No, you haven't responded to that. I'm asking, so if you describe it as prescription, do we have some medicines that we prescribe to patients that contains sulfur?
Yes, we have many medications that we prescribe that contain sulfur, which are okay to people, except those patients that have that particular enzyme deficiency. So the fact that a drug contains sulfur does not necessarily make the drug a bad drug.
Okay.
For example, SP, which is given to patients, pregnant women, for example, is to protect them from getting malaria during pregnancy, which can cause maternal mortality as well as the baby to die. Contains sulfur. And some antibiotics also contain sulfur. And it's perfectly okay, except for such people. That is why I was trying to explain, if you had listened, that one, it is part of the history-taking process to find out if somebody has this. And if the person does not have, during the history-taking, you might pick up bits and pieces that may make you go ahead to do tests to confirm whether the person has a deficiency or not before you prescribe that. And process of drug prescription administration starts from just your history itself. And so it is not only the doctor or nurse or pharmacist that has a role to play. You yourself as a patient has a role to play. It starts from the history taking, where you must disclose everything to the doctor. And we know from time to time there are patients sometimes who do not disclose because they may have forgotten, or they do not disclose because they think if they tell the doctor that they are on this drug already, or they have ABC problem, they feel probably this and that may not happen, and so they do not do so. So the history taking is very important. You must have full disclosure to your doctor when such situations arise.
And in this case, right, and in this case, we've not been able to establish, since this person or the victim is no more, we have not been able to establish if Koda did not provide all detailed historic medications he's been going through to his doctor or whoever was attending to him. So we cannot also conclude on that matter.
Exactly. As I said, we only have a small part of a video without full disclosure, so it's difficult to make that. So I don't want us to focus too much on this video, so that we are not interrogating an issue where part of the party is not here to even respond to the issues. So I would say that when you go to a hospital as a patient, one, you have partly the responsibility to disclose every information. Don't think whether it's relevant or not. Let the professional decide. Again, also, when you are being prescribed any medication, you have the right, as the law allows you and permits, that you should ask every question about the medication any time that you are being given the medication. When you leave the doctor's office to the pharmacist, indeed the pharmacist is the professional who has that time, and then that he sees with that opportunity to educate you about the drugs, the side effects, the various things, the cautions that need to come with the medications, as well as what you should and should not do. And then you have also an opportunity to ask your questions there and do so. When you also go home, you are supposed to follow the instructions. And then always, if you have any changes that you see, which may or may not necessarily even be part of the signs and symptoms that you have been told, we expect that you return to the facility. You don't have to wait and finish the medications. What we must also acknowledge is the fact that we have reactions that may occur, which we say there are some of them are idiosyncratic. No matter the history you take, no matter what you do, you cannot test for every single predisposition in every single patient. So it's a matter of minimizing the risk rather than eliminating the risk totally. So there are patients whose first reaction is actually when we confirm that they have an allergy to a particular condition because they've never even taken that medication before, or they have taken the medication maybe once, or they are reacting now because they are taking a particular medication. So it's important that you always give that feedback to the doctor. And then this is also then forwarded and reported to the Food and Drugs Authority so that they also monitor some of these medications as well.